Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a subscriber interview out of Virginia. Some definite Dogman activity. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below, my merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel's growth, please subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help and it does matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? Alright, guys, today I have boots on the ground DJ. DJ, what's up, buddy?
Not a whole lot, buddy. Just sitting around.
How you doing today? Good?
Yeah, good.
Good. Weather's good down in the Virginia area?
Yeah, a little rainy, but not bad.
Oh, you're getting rain?
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll come up this way. It's been real hot up here.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Now, you kind of sent me a text. I've been real busy this weekend working on stuff, and I finally got back to you after a couple of texts from you. And I guess there's two, your family and you had seen something. You want to share the family first, if you don't mind?
Sure. They live probably 10 minutes from here. There's a rotation. It's way up on top of a mountain. It's truly God's country. It honestly looks like the road goes up into the clouds up in there.
Tazewell County?
Buchanan,
okay.
Yeah, and they have a real nice place up there. And it's all to itself. Closest neighbor's about 350, 400 yards away. And they come out, it was the other morning, I think, or late that evening. They come out and they smelled something on the carport. And the man said that he smelled something never like that before in times. And it was a mixture of manure, which is crap, and urine. That it's the strongest smell he's ever smelled in his life to the point it hurt his nose.
Okay.
And he seems to think, they've never heard. He's like the old timer. He's one of the type that you couldn't explain, no matter how much proof of cryptid life you have, he wouldn't believe it unless it bit him on the hind end. And he thinks it's a black bear, but no, I think it's not a black bear. It's just, there ain't no way.
Right.
I've been around black bear. I've seen black bear. I've even seen them harvested. And though a black bear, alive and dead, does smell, they smell like a daggone locker room after 4 quarters of hard play, but they do not smell like that.
Real musky, not a
real musky
crap
smell.
and urine smell.
No, it smells like a quarterback's armpits after 4 quarters of hard play and plus overtime.
Okay.
They're musty, sweaty, stinky, but they don't smell like crap.
Okay.
And it's to the point that, they actually had to go inside to get away from it. That's how bad it was.
Wow. All right.
And just the recent things was going on down here, and then that on the same mountain range, on the same road.
Now, where is that mountain range to where you were comparing last time I had you on when you heard the initial howls? I believe they were across the street from you, and then...
Actually headed up that way, actually.
Okay. All right.
And me and the wife was in the house earlier today, as a matter of fact, and praying. And we looked out the window where I previously sent you that picture. I seen something, and I just wanted to, my wife to take a look and see if I was seeing things.
Mm-hmm.
But she'd seen it the same as I did. It was up in there in that same area, up in them saplings, and it looked like 6.5, 7 feet tall. Was a black spot. But when we both looked at it at the same time, you could actually see it flipped its ear. where it was raining. It must have got the moisture off of it or something. It flicked its ear and hit a branch. It was right beside its head. And that's what shook the whole branch. And you can see raindrops come down real quick. And then that's how it caused it, because the ear flickered and seen it. We seen its eyes, its eye pits, and its forehead. And then I went to full with the camera to try to get a picture, and we looked back, and it was gone. Where there was something 6.5, 7 foot of black presence, when we looked back up, it was just gone. It was a clear spot with just leaves.
Okay.
It moved that fast.
Now, you said there was like a blondish color to it too?
Yeah, it had blondish tints. There's a couple spots, like, me and you spotted it right off when you seen the picture.
Yeah.
Across its nose, but evidently, when we was looking at the body, we seen a couple of spots just like that on down, like on, I guess where its chest would be, where the abdomen comes into the brisket bone.
Okay.
There's a couple of blondish, lighter spots on its fur, so it's like a blackish brown with blonde spots on it.
Are they striped or not really?
No, just like patches of blonde, just like you can see on a brindle pit bull or something.
Yeah, okay. Huh.
Wild color.
Yeah, camouflage for that area, if you think about it.
I'd like to think to try to, do something about it, but at the same time, it's not bothering us.
No.
I don't want to clash heads with this thing, but it's that close is bad enough. As long as it ain't bothering none of us, or the family, or the pets, I don't have no reason to mess with it.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I think you would just stir up more issues for yourself if you did, really.
Well, we all know in the cryptid world, especially here, your research have found that they can be quite cantankerous and very, very vengeful.
Yeah.
So it's just best to leave sleeping dog flies, the saying goes.
Yeah. Now, your wife's aunt and uncle, they have pets. They haven't lost any pets. It's just the stink that's up there right now.
Yeah, it's just a stench. They used to have goats and farm animals and Great Pyrenees long ago, but they've long since passed.
Right. But this area where they're at, I mean, they've lived there for a while, so I'm sure if a new smell came into the area, they're gonna know it right off. Like, hey, what's that funk?
Right on. That's the reason, just exactly why they picked up on it. It was not there before.
Right.
And I'm just wondering to see how long this goes on, or if it comes back. Because if it's at least up there more than once, we know that it's used in this area or it's been around this area.
Yeah. Do they have any? Do they acknowledge that these things exist, or do they not have any kind of care, or what?
They really don't. I haven't really sat down and tried to talk to them about it, but they're around here, it's very deep southern, the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
They would look at it as a sign of saying it could be something tied to the Bible, as far as basically a demon.
Like demonic, yeah.
Yeah, an unclean spirit, so to speak. But as far as it just sitting there giving it credit for having life and breath and, a heart, no, they're not going to.
Right. No, I just meant, do they acknowledge that Dogman exists? Do they believe in Dogman? Okay.
Not at all.
Maybe you should talk to him just to kind of, feel him out. Hey, have you seen anything weird? Hey, and then just, I don't know, kind of bring something up to them so they don't go outside at night and become a victim.
Well, I'm slowly introducing it to my mother-in-law, and she's slowly beginning to open her eyes a little bit. Before, I haven't took that picture that I've got up here recently of that thing and just put it down in front of her, a shock to the system. I'm slowly but surely educating her, and before I show her this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't want to scare her, because, and once I get her open her eyes, she can, probably help her sister and her husband, which is my wife's uncle and aunt, open their eyes as well.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, to be honest with you, just living in Buchanan, Tazewell, and Mercer, West Virginia, that little section right there, with all of the bodies and all the disappearances, I don't know how anybody who lives in that area can't think something's going on,
Exactly, amen.
got to not be paying attention to anything at that point. You know, you're just
Amen.
completely clueless to what's going on around you.
Right. I've learned a way to try to link both together, such as the belief, in God's word and this, because I keep telling them, and I mentioned it more than once. The Lord's word does admit He created us, He created all man, but it doesn't say to what other creatures, the beasts of the field, He has created and what He has not created. So that leaves that leeway, in God's word to, maybe they can sit there and say, well, maybe they do exist. They don't know.
Yeah.
They're the type that it's hard to get them to understand and open their eyes.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm just hoping that this ain't one of these situations where they would be drastically forced to open their eyes, if you know what I mean, like a run-in, before they would admit that something else does exist like this. Because like you said before, and like a lot of other people that have run into these things, the scholar shock to the system they can't take. It's a mental overload. And some people just can't handle mentally and emotionally having a sighting.
Right.
Because they're just not ready for it.
Yeah, you're not. I don't think even if you've had sightings before, you're not ready for it,
Right on.
I had Luke on yesterday, and, I know for a fact he's not. He's had a couple face-to-face, and he still has a hard time talking about it. So I don't think you ever get over it.
No, he almost lost his life to one, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. Now, it seems like things are quiet in the area. Not knock on wood, in the Tazewell Buchanan area for a little bit now.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're if they were traveling through, or maybe they realize with the presence of all of the search and rescue teams and the sheriffs and stuff looking and finding all of those people within that short period of time at the beginning of this year. I wonder if they're kind of catching on. Hey, we need to kind of slow it down a little bit.
I'm hoping that, like you said, they're passing through, and with a more human presence in places they would not normally see humans, that might have deterred them a little bit, their activity, and they might hopefully be more secretive about their movement, or just tired to leave the areas alone and go other places.
Right.
Yeah. Passing through, that's fine. Everything has a right to life till it's given a reason not to exist. But as long as they keep on passing through with no problems, I don't have a problem with it.
No, definitely not. I think that's a very good philosophy on your part to just, it's not bothering you right now. Yes, you lost a couple cats, but is it worth upsetting or, taking a shot at this thing, possibly wounding it or completely missing it and just really upsetting it? And I don't think it's worth it. It's not harmed your home. It's not tried to, I believe that if it tries to attack you or your wife or any other people around that, area that you're close to, yeah, then, but just kind of let it see what it does from now,
That's all I'm knowing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, if we go,
what'd you say?
I was just going to say one provision is when we have to take the pets outside to use the bathroom after it gets dusk, my wife don't go. I go armed with a light, just in case if they're watching and they're out there, they see me, that I'm smart enough to carry a weapon if I have to defend myself or anything around me. But at the same time, I'm not pointing it anywhere where they would be, acting like Billy the Kid saying, come on, either. I want trouble. I just let them know that I'm prepared, but I just would rather not engage with them.
Yeah, absolutely. You should get a high-powered bulb out in the back, too.
We got one in the front. We're working on putting them on each corner of the house and even one behind the house.
There you go. Yeah, that way that area is illuminated and it gives them their area and you your area. And that way you can at least, while you're outside, you can see what's sneaking up on you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's pretty crazy that, the locations that you've talked about and shared with us match up to, this is even before you and I had that conversation. I just simply asked, hey, where is this place for, the 72-year-old gentleman who disappeared, or Rami, Myra Rami, where'd she disappear? And then this and that, and this is over here behind the house, and that's over there, and you've had these sightings and these vocalizations, and now your family on that same side over there has had a scent. I think maybe it's just living around there. I think maybe it's not just one, but where there's always one, there's always two.
Yeah, there's several.
Yeah, I think maybe they've just found a location, and they're just being low key right now because they really did. If it was them that did the damage in the beginning of the year and at the end of last year, brought a lot of attention to themselves. So maybe they're just kind of playing it cool for right now, and hopefully that's the way they do it. They play it cool and they just move out.
I hope so. I mean, there's a lot. Southwestern Virginia is well, even as Victor said, it's a very, what did he say, a bush of outdoors and mountains. But this vast area right here is some of the more rural areas in this region. I mean, I grew up in a rural area, and this place makes it look sick. I mean, there's just so many deep hollers and places that have been unscathed by man. It's just unreal up through here.
Yeah, old mines and just
exactly
a lot of areas for them to hide, live.
Yeah, and there's a lot of abandoned houses I've seen around here too, and rickety old barns that are falling down like pole barns. You know what pole barns are?
Yeah.
You could all tell back there I found out there was a sawmill in the turn of the century around 1920, 1930s. It was operating somewhere in this area, and where you turn off to come up to where I live now, a lot of them, have fallen down or in the process of falling down, but they're pole barns. So it tells me the small community got all their lumber from this, and there's some houses still built out of this material, and a lot of them's abandoned. So they got lots of places as far as broken down old man-made structures, they could nest in or sit down for the night or rest or what have you.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people realize that you've got these urban explorers and stuff, and that I think it's fascinating. I'd love to start doing that myself, but I've heard 3 different that I can call right off the top of my head, maybe 4 experiences where these things dwelled in old broken down homes. You've got the old sheriff from North Carolina, where
right.
He had to do the
nightly checks.
Yeah, and they weren't a what do you call them? Kind of like just like what you call when you check on people, like a
welfare check.
Yes. He had said welfare checked, but that kind of got people wondering why they do. It was more or less to see if people were partying in there, and maybe to keep an eye on those things. So there's one experience that they use broken down homes. And then there was a gentleman, I don't remember the state off the top of my head, but he and his friend, a woman friend of his, would go urban exploring, and they came upon an old house. Half of it was fallen down, half of it was still pretty decent, and they found a cellar area, and there was a dead deer carcass down there.
Down in the basement, I remember that one.
And it got dragged into the darkness, and they took off, and there was a mountain lion was involved in that as
Right.
well.
Wasn't that Virginia as well?
I think it might have been. It might have
I
been
think it
Virginia,
was.
Kentucky, or Tennessee, one of the three.
Right. It was an old abandoned home, like an old abandoned mansion or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And there's two right off the top of my head, and I could think of two more right now, but they dwell in old abandoned anything that suits their needs. I don't think they're
Exactly.
particular, they
No,
they're not fussy. So people
I've
need
even
to,
heard of.
well,
People need to wake up.
and be careful, vigilant.
Right.
Hyper vigilant is the word that people really, just even if they don't believe in these things. Luke put it perfectly the last night. The woods are dangerous even if you don't believe in these creatures, or you feel you're safer on wild animals, but humans as well. I mean, there's all sorts of dangers in the woods, human, cryptid, and regular wildlife, and you've got to be vigilant. Otherwise, you're going to be on the back of a milk cart, and it's not anything anybody wants to be on the back of.
Amen. Ain't that the truth?
So, well, my buddy, I appreciate you coming on. Just stay safe, and please get those lights out there. I don't need to have a text from your wife saying that you're in the hospital or not with us anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to think about that either.
Yeah, I couldn't. You become a good friend of mine, and I don't think I'd handle that too well. So, all right, my friend. Well, take care, and thank you for keeping us in the loop.
I appreciate your time, Jeff.
All right, God bless, buddy.
Bye-bye.
It's always nice to hear from DJ. He's a really cool guy. I like DJ a lot. Virginia and West Virginia are very interesting states. I've never been there. I'd love to go. I think I will go soon. But I've just, for the years that I've had this channel, and the people that I've talked to from Virginia area have all really said pretty much the same thing. These creatures use the mountain ranges to travel. And then when the local wildlife ends up coming down off these mountains, that's when you know they're around. I had a subscriber who went by the avatar name as Opie. Really super nice guy, training to be an SRA agent. Or, you know what I'm saying. SAR, search and rescue personnel. And he would know kind of periodically when these creatures were in the ranges, because he would see local wildlife coming off the mountains, deer, bear, other things like that. So that's one thing that we do know, even though it's theory, it's really theory. There is no experts in this field. I don't believe I could consider anyone an expert. Some know more than others because, well, some have better theory than others because they've been doing it longer or gone to more locations. But don't think there's, there's no real expert in anything if you really think about it. Just because they wrote a book or, that's all their theory. Minus if it's encounters. But even then, what are you, an expert at collecting encounters? But we do know that, yes, these things frighten local wildlife. We know that they use waterways, railways, power lines to travel, and other wooded areas. We know that they search out abandoned places, caves, mines, old homes, whatnot. Tunnel culverts, whatever. They those are things that we can really kind of pinpoint. Behavioral wise, we don't know. Whether they migrate or not, we don't know. They might just go with the hunt. They might just travel just because. We don't know. It's theory. One of my best friends, Dark Waters, and I respect him so much that it does bother me sometimes, instead of calling him by his first name, that I call him Dark Waters on the channel, because that's what you guys know him by. But he has a theory that they migrate, and it's a great theory. It is a super theory. Do I agree with it? No. Do we argue about it? No. Nope. Actually, he and I have different opinions on a lot of things, but we get along very well, amazingly well. And, I'm blessed to have him in my corner. So, because I can bounce theory off of him and he bounces theory off of me, and we talk, and, it's good to have someone like that is like-minded but isn't in the same sense. That's how you start figuring things out, guys. And with that, I want to thank you all for the constant support, always tuning in. It means the world to me. It really does. Stay safe, everyone. The season is here. The heat, the warmth, the hunting season for these apex predators is here, I'm afraid. I think they tend to hunt more in spring, in summer and fall than the winter. I don't believe they hibernate either. But maybe they do. I don't know. Nobody can prove otherwise, so it's theory. With that, my friends, stay safe.